Scorpio in the 11th house. Shout out to them Capricorn risings. You might be, from a whole signs perspective, all right, you're going to be a Capricorn rising, just like a good brother over here. So this is actually my placement from a whole sign perspective. From a Placidus perspective, you may be a Pisces rising. You may be an Aquarius rising. All right. Now let's get into what I came here for. Scorpio in the 11th house, guys. Nope. What other placement screams the occult like this placement? What other placement screams this is the experience you get exposed to the behind the scenes realities of societies in general, the history, the bloodlines, the lineages, the traditions and cultures that come into the different social spaces, the different groups, communities, partnerships that have an impact on the way the world is run. What other placement is going to do that for you other than Scorpio in the 11th house? Shout out to them Cap risings. Shout out to them potentially Pisces and Aquarius risings. All right. Now, the 11th house is a social house, dealing with our social activity, but out in the external realm, out in the public arena, friends, colleagues, associates, people that didn't even really make into like the first house space yet. They're not really in your 7th house space. They're not in the 4th house space. All right. So they stay in that 11th house space. These are associates, people you connect with. All right. People like to associate this house with friends. All right. But, when we start looking at the the different dynamics of the air houses, the 3rd house is friends close to home, best friends, familiar friends. OK, if you have a friend that you met in high school or middle school and y'all been tight ever since, or you met in your neighborhood, y'all been tight ever since, and then y'all roommates as adults, this ain't an 11th house friend. That's a 3rd house friend. They familiar. They in your surroundings. Y'all comfortable in each other's surroundings. Y'all are familiar with each other. All right. So in the 11th house, this is why we have wowzers. That's crazy. But guess what? I'm the lucky Libra. Matter of fact, hold on, y'all. Hold on, y'all. 1 second. We finna get this popping. I'm finna work this magic on my mama. Watch how don't worry. Watch how I do this. Stay right here, family. Stay right here, man. Stay right here. Don't go nowhere. If you're a real one, you ain't going nowhere. What I said, man, stop playing with me. Stop playing with me. I'll bring the light back. Stop playing with me. All right. Anyways, ring light try to go crazy on a good brother, but we work magic over here. All right. This is a Scorpio video too. So I'm able to tap into some more sorcery energy. All right. I ain't going to tell y'all what little spiritual hack I just did to turn the light back on. All right. That's we talking about Scorpio energy. I got to keep that behind the scenes. But with that being said, all right, just breaking out those different dynamics between the air houses. So when we get into the 11th house, the sign in that house is going to show you a lot of the influences that you experience when you participate in the external realm, things to look forward to with traits or influences within circumstances, dealing with, participating with the external realm, community, group, partnership, endeavor like activity, right? So you put Scorpio now, and the 11th house is also one of the more spiritually inclined houses in the zodiac. All right. It's dealing with it's dealing with abstract thought. It's dealing with, it rules astrology. It deals with connection to the unknown. When you step out into the world and participate with unfamiliar faces and places, you walking into the unknown on top of the unknown from a metaphysical perspective. All right. So we got a lot going on in the 11th house. So when you got Scorpio here, fixed water ruled by Mars, co-ruled by Pluto, intense, passionate, behind the scenes, occultish, right? Intuitive, passionate self in the 11th house. We got a couple of themes that come together here. Now, for one, we know wherever Scorpio is at in the chart is going to bring what? Go ahead. Say those two words. Say those two words. Deep transformation in this muggery. All right. So there's going to be a pattern here dealing with, it's going to be different chapters and series of your life. And you see how you attract different social spaces based on things that you may be building and structuring in your life as a Capricorn rising. But the thing is, with Scorpio here, dealing with a lot of exposing, revealing energy of things going on in the world. The 11th house is dealing with the trends, patterns. 10th house shares some of this influence too, but when it comes into movement, when it comes into once again trends, when it comes into what's being heavily connected and messaged through media and platforms and the programming through media, all 11th house there, all 11th house. So Scorpio here, there's a lot of potential. Now this is a square too, because Scorpio's coming out of the 8th house. So what happens here is Scorpio can bring a huge influence of revealing these things to you about what the realities of things behind corporations, politics. If you're a part of different groups and whatnot. See, with this placement right here, you most likely put the number 8 in the chat if you dealt with realizing the agenda, which was a hidden agenda of a associate that caused the deep transformation in some type of project building, some type of group effort. They could tell you about that with Scorpio in the 8th house. Because you know what? Scorpio is passionate, but you got a Mars and Pluto influence here. Mars and Pluto could be greedy. Mars can take. Mars can be possessive. Mars and Pluto could be power and controlling in their shadow space. So when it gets into Scorpio in the 11th house, there has to be a sense of discernment and intuition about the different forms of expression and communication. And you got to read through all these different cues to understand the intention of the people that you're building things with out in the world with this placement. Deep transformation can come many ways. Deep transformation can come through the negligence and being lackadaisical about reading somebody's intentions and their wants of wanting why they want to participate with you and build with you in something, right? Why they want you to be a part of a team with them. Or it could bring deep transformation in an empowering way, being able to relate yourself to people who are either as deep as you with how you perceive the world, which will ultimately start causing transformations, because a lot of the things you're privy to may not be relatable. We know Scorpio is one of the most misunderstood in the good old zodiac, guys. So it's going to be a little bit of that misunderstood frequency vibration in the 8th house. In the 11th house for Scorpio here. Your insight, your endeavors at times, your belief systems, these things, even who you associate yourself with at times, can come off opposing, can come off rebellious, mysterious. And this is why this space constantly transforms, because what you develop in this awareness about things in the world, once again, is not as relatable at times. Not everybody want to go down that deep ass Scorpio 8th house rabbit hole with you all the time. All right, and I'm a Scorpio dominant myself, so this is something I could write a book on that aspect of a good brother life. Trust me. Okay, I even put the clip that turning the light back on got me so hype. I even clipped this joint back on. So yeah, guys, when you're looking at things in its shadow side, Scorpio can attract manipulative people, power and controlling people in these groups. This is a placement where you got to know your percentages and the numbers and what's on the contract and the agreement for this, that, and the third, because they'll try to keep a good brother or sister with Scorpio in the 11th house in the dark about something for somebody else's profit and gain. Remember, this house Scorpio dealing with shared resources, and you put a sign dealing with shared resources out in the world where it can, create the potential to activate that through interactions with others, especially when this house is dealing with, once again, commerce, building, more associate business partnership like partnerships and whatnot. This is why we got both two sides of transformation here. There's going to be positive transformation, empowering transformation. And the way we can manifest positive transformation is going to be through different states of isolation here at times. Isolation is like the purgatory to the new state of friends when you're in the midst of transformation in this house. So you may just be going through certain spaces where you may be building something in your life. You may be going through a shift with your spiritual awareness and your belief systems, and maybe a certain level of focus and concentration you got dealing with creative influences. You may just simply be, spiritually, personally developing beyond your peers in certain spaces of your life. And in the midst of you getting more familiar with new social spaces and new people, there will be deep spaces of isolation here. It'll be deep space. You're gonna get a lot of that because it has to recollect and recharge and observe and build a new approach on how to fixate water, how to fixate how it's gonna connect with people in the 11th house. All right. This placement is really good, being able to identify the different programs of that create attachments. So with this placement, because this person is going to see how there's different forms of things in the world that can have power and control over you, regardless of what that is, there's going to be able to be in real life experiences and see these things, have friends, associates, and the third that may be struggling with certain things in their personal life. So this plays out as an example of understanding that the world itself, there's a lot of evolution through overcoming attachments. This is a lot of that Pluto aspect here, right? Getting to the subconscious, evolving, transmuting energy. So there's a lot of examples of how desires or power and controlling influences, consume people in the world. And you get to experience and see that front, on your front door for the most part. And that's an example of what things can take control over you. All right. This person, remember, this is a square. So you take a sign dealing with what's behind the scenes and you put it in the house dealing with connecting, interacting with others. So these people at times can have a very bold, to a degree, intimidating presence at times in the 11th house. This could be based off of some strong, intense, even extreme. These people could be labeled extremists out in the world at times based off of their ideals or belief systems about things. All right. That's why everything's just find a way to point back to the deep transformation perspective here. All right. So be careful of the red flags that lead into things dealing with manipulation and people taking power and control of you in this area. Depending on the placements this person has, they could start to cultivate themselves to be a great example to others on something dealing with transformation. All right. So, depending on certain alignments, this person may want to adapt being the example and being seen for these things. Being in the 11th, Scorpio in the 11th house shows you're going to be experiencing that there, how much you allow yourself to be an example. Maybe you're a sun in Scorpio, so you're definitely going to be here to be an example. Maybe you have a planet here and is making contact with other planets that's creating this type of situation. All right. So whenever you feel a calling with this placement, you've persevered through something that was power and controlling in your life, some form of drug abuse, some form of emotional turbulence, some form of psychological issue, depression, whatever it is. You could always manifest, a magnetic charge on the collective, being able to be the example of motivation here. Now, I should have said this in the beginning of the video. You got to know what house Mars is in. All right, whatever house Mars is in is going to show you where a lot of your passions and goals, dealing with partnerships, the collective, how you want to represent yourself in the collective, your approach towards dealing with the collective is going to show what house you bring that energy from. So if Mars in the 6th house, you have a strong presence of dealing with wellness and health and bringing that to the collective, right? Or a sense of management, especially a system that can manage somebody to change or transform something, because we got that Mars transformation energy, right? We got Mars in the 4th house, things dealing with, the regulation of emotional of your wellness. Yeah, your emotional, mental well-being, things dealing with transformation of the subconscious, impactful moments that hit the subconscious may create traumas, giving people some type of, motivation or some type of resource, a source of a, concept, ideology, whatever it may be, whether it gets cultivated into a brand, a book, or a business, or a goddamn album, but something dealing with resolving and regulating things amongst the subconscious, private issues or whatnot. Mars in the 12th house, right next door. This person is going to have influence to want to take things dealing with, their belief systems, things dealing with the experiences of them connecting to the astral realm and developing their belief systems and spiritual influences in general, things dealing with their art in general, their imagination, their creative influences. They're going to really want to pour that into the 11th house and create spaces where they could, collab with others amongst these concepts. So that's another thing. Wherever the ruler of the 11th house is, this is more so your intrigue, your natural calling and approach of the type of tribe you want to kind of embrace from the positive side of that sign. So with positive traits of Scorpio being transformative, transmutative, right? Emotionally durable, empowering, goal-oriented, concentrated, focused, a healer, a nurturer, intuition, high clairvoyance, inclined awareness of the occult, emotional intelligence in general. All right, we could just keep going on and on, but all these things here, all right, those are all of the positive themes you want to have coincide within your associations and partnerships and the people you attract in your life. All right. But yeah, be careful being too extreme, too much of a radical. Make sure there's a direction with your radicalness. Don't know if radicalness is a word, but it sounds natural enough. I'm an air sign. I can tell when things sound natural enough. All right. But niggas be trying to say they're air sign for this and the third to prove why they so good with words or literacy or something. At the end of the day, this is a made up language at the end of the day. All right. So, but that's a whole nother concept right there. But anyways, so yeah, man, Scorpio in 11th house, man, this person can bring a sense of, well, I don't want to say this person could bring a sense of rebirth here, because remember, once again, that's more of Mars, Pluto being in this house, and it depends, this is what we're experiencing here. Signs in the house is serious, but depending on alignments and planets, this person may be able to activate a lot of circumstances where they could bring a rebirth, a revitalization type of influence to a group of community, right? A business was doing bad, their influence, their approach, their ideology, their abstract thought about something, their concept, their previous experience with some type of community group, right, can help empower and change the state of a group, community, or association, all right? So that's what we got going on there. The opposite house is Taurus in the 5th house. So in some type of shape or form, you're gonna experience transformation, learning how to bring your value, learning how to take the value that you place on the stage, things that you deal with from a creative, expressive, artistic point of view, and maybe you value whatever you do value placing on the stage from an expression point of view. It don't even have to be creative, but if it is creative, you're going to experience the transformation of these interactions, or how you bring it out into the 11th house. So a lot of these people, especially if they are artists or creatives here, them taking what they value and how they express that in the 5th house, when it gets into the 11th house, they deal with these different transformations amongst their partnerships. And you got to learn to evolve and grow through that, right? You're an artist, you got an album, it's really transformative or what not. So people on your feedback is no gray area. People love you or hate you, and it's intense, right? It's intense love because of your ability to connect, empower, transform things for others, or give them an influence of transformation. Or maybe is the things in the delivery was intense. It was just whatever the fuck. All right. So yeah. So that's the opposite house, the square house, the 8th house. What we got over here? Taurus, fixed sign, spring, summer. We got Leo. Ooh, yeah. I'm really bugging. Like, this is Capricorn rising. This is my rising sign. So we got Leo in the 8th house. All right. Here is another area where this person is gonna go through different type of transformations amongst things dealing with creative expression. There's going to be certain barriers of insecurities and fear of the light of the stage that this person may have to get over with this placement. I know somebody that's a double Leo, a Capricorn rising, very close to home person in my life. Capricorn rising just like me, but it's a double Leo, sun, moon, and Leo in this 8th house. One of the flyest dudes I know, one of the most creative dudes I know, one of the most intelligent dudes I know. But when things start involving attention or having to be seen for certain things that he has aspirations for, he's dealing with getting over a hump with that. You may experience some of that here when it comes into your interaction into the 11th house. So when it comes into you finally being able to, maybe empower, or when you become aware of things with Scorpio in the 11th house, when certain things are exposed, revealed to you, or you're in a position to bring awareness about something behind the scenes, occult-like, something that the collective is in the dark about. Here with Leo in the 8th house, this square creates a situation where, any type of insecurity or fear about how you're seen, being on the stage, your expression, you go through them transformations with that here. You got to embrace that here. and that'll embracing it empowers you to feel more encouraged to be on the stage, feel more encouraged, to go through the evolution of your expression, whether it's self-expression in like a general daily life area or through a creative, artistic, branding, business perspective. All right. And then the other square is Aquarius, and that's in the second house. Okay. So with this placement, Aquarius already having transformative ideals about the things that they value in the second house, already having alternative, unique values here. This person experiences transformation with Scorpio in the 11th house, bringing their unique value system to that area in general. So all these squares are influencing the different, the squares and the opposites, as you can see, are adding on to the transformation process Scorpio brings into the to the 11th house, and these type of themes may be very relatable with people with that placement. All right. But remember, whenever we talk about Scorpio, the goal is always to rise to the phoenix. So you have to understand, if you have this placement, let's say you do have a lot of activity around this area. Let's say we got some squares and oppositions. There's way more potential for you to deal with more of that shadow side, because you're dealing with more activity in the area in general. So it is more of a potential for you to deal with that shadow side of hidden agendas, being too eager, too passionate, or consumed by desire energy into something. You signed a contract, made an obligation to a group, an environment, an industry, or something too eagerly, and now you're going through the transformations or power and control situations from that. So all those type of themes, you got to make sure you keep those in mind, those red and green flags, dealing with how you connect with others out in the world to understand your evolution of emotional intelligence and resiliency through embracing transformations and growing through that in your life can always create opportunities with how you can, bring that energy into the collective, whether it's in a more intimate setting, intimate, private group, whether it's something more expansive and something you're trying to brand and build, like whatever it may be, you're going to be more experienced to, give insight and guidance and lead in that area based off of what you experience in that area. All right. Did I say friends? Besides like groups, associates, even your friends in general, you could deal with some secrets and lies and all these deceit and things like that with friends here too. You could deal with that here. All right. But I think that pretty much is like the first thing you probably think about here in the placement Scorpio in the 11th house. All right. But yeah, you will be exposed to different occult teachers, influencers, a lot of things that's going on behind the scenes as well too in general. So it's just like if you're a part of a group or association, once again, you sooner or later, you may pick up on these things intuitively, but sooner or later, if there is some wrongdoings going on behind the scenes in this business that you're a part of and this group is part of, like this, you're gonna become exposed to that. You're just gonna become exposed to that. All right. Nonetheless, this is what we got going on, man. Shout out to my Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces risings, but that's Scorpio up in that 11th, his house. Next video, what we got, Sagittarius in the 11th, his house. Until next time, family. Peace.